Welcome to VFF USH webinar Empower Community. My name is Usri and I am the Senior Director of Vicente Ferrer Foundation, United States. VFF USH partner in India, Rural Development Trust, has started the child sponsorship program in the year 1978. And so far they have sponsored more than 120,000 children. In today's webinar, formally sponsored children who are working now will share their journeys from childhood to livelihood. And after that, we have our child sponsor who are going to talk about and they are going to share their experience. They made their sponsor children in India. They are going to talk about their experience and share that with you. And at the end, we are just going to briefly discuss about our sponsorship program, what the child receives, and how the sponsor can feel connected with the children. So now I am going to introduce moderator for today's session, Dr. Srilekha Pale. It's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Srilekha Pale in today's webinar. Dr. Srilekha Pale is an accomplished healthcare leader with 20 plus years of experience with major healthcare system in the DMV area. Dr. Pale earned her Doctor of Physical Therapy from Boston University and her MBA with a focus on healthcare administration. Originally from Kurnool district, Srilekha is familiar with our partner Adriti's work. She is from Kurnool and she is quite familiar with the work of RDT. Apart from that, Srilekha personally knows many of the children who were formally sponsored. Welcome, Srilekha. Over to you, and you can start the session.
Ushasri, thank you so much for the beautiful introduction. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. We appreciate your participation. I can tell you that this is going to be a wonderful participation, wonderful introduction, and you will walk away be feeling inspired. I've kind of spoken to one or two of the child-sponsored that are going to be participating here, and they all have inspirational stories to share with all of you. First of all, I want to thank, I'm very thankful to be hosting this webinar, Transform a Life, Empower the Communities, this beautiful Saturday. In this webinar, as I said, formally sponsored children Shatru, Lata, and Rakesh will share their experiences about childhood to livelihood. I also want to let you know Natalia from California, who visited her sponsored child this year, who is joining us from Madrid, Spain, will share her experience of meeting her child in Bailupalla village, India. As Ushasri said, I'm from Betamcharla, Kurnool district. It is a tiny village who was kind of influenced by RDT, not as much as in Anantapur district, but definitely very much influenced by RDT's great work. I'm also excited to announce that Fran Ventura, who pedaled from Los Angeles to Anantapur as part of his campaign, Kartas Para Nandini, to raise awareness about child sponsorship, has also joined us. So this is going to be a wonderful seminar, and I'm thankful for all of you for being here. Without any further ado, I'm going to be introducing our first panelist that has joined us from Hyderabad, Shatru Nayak. Shatru Nayak was born in a remote village of Anantapur district in Andhra Pradesh. He was one of the first generations VFF-sponsored children. With RDT and VFF support, he could crack a Bright Children Merit Scholarship to study in one of the finest residential English medium schools back home in India. After high school, Shatru studied Electronics and Communications Diploma Engineering and later did his master's in Computer Science. After a short period of work experience, he was offered to start an IT offshore development center in Hyderabad, India, to support EDI Oracle Retails project and product development to USA parent company, Versant Technologies. He joined to set up a movie graphics company, and later his passion for entrepreneurship is driving him to bootstrap two companies in India and United States. He started his product company in the education domain, and later, along with two Americans, started a mobile workforce management product company as well in Fountain Valley, California. He's married and blessed with two children and happily lives in Hyderabad at this point. As you can see, he's a very accomplished gentleman, and I'm thankful that he took the time to join. And I would love to speak to him and kind of get to know about his experiences and so on and so forth. Sure, Shatru, I would like to start off by asking you talk to us more about your childhood and your memories of the child sponsorship program.
Yeah, thanks for that introduction, Srilekha, first. And I do clearly remember my first day of sponsorship. It was a couple of white people coming to my village, motivating entire village, and they were talking about sending children to education and also looking the water facility for my village. That was still, I remember, I was about 5 years old kid then. It was first time when I was seeing some white people. It was a strange thing for us. It's something like movie avatar characters for us those days when we see some white people. Yeah, in 1979, I got my sponsorship. My sponsor was from US, New York City. Her name was Michael Gianni. She's no more now. In 1997, she passed away due to a depression disease and kind of things. That's what my sponsorship. She has did two things. One, sponsoring money for RDT, that is Rural Development Trust, to bring my all education needs. And also she initially raised some fund to create a separate bank account for me for my graduations kind of thing. So that's what Srilekha. In 1979 is my first journey with rural development.
So a couple of things that I'm kind of hearing from you. It's kind of nice to know that this program is not a new program. This program has been going on for as long as 4 decades at this point. And it kind of started off you saying that there were some white folks that kind of came in, and it started off as like water facility program and kind of inspired as a child sponsorship program and stuff. So Shatru, do you think the sponsorship helped you to become as successful as you are today? And do you also think that if the sponsorship program was not there, if that folks did not recognize that this program was essential, then you wouldn't be where you are today? What do you think? How did that influence you to become where you are?
Yeah, one thing, definitely I can visualize if Rural Development Trust was not there, they not have taken care of me. I would have been in my village like a laborer, okay? But I was lucky enough to get the sponsorship and to be taken care by Rural Development Trust. So it helped me a lot in not only education, but it helped my all the student life, So I have been talking to a guy called Michael Perry then, and I understood. I knew later how I need to interact with people, how to communicate, how to grow up. He was more inspirational for me those days because he was a director of RDT. He was a bridge between a sponsored child and in the school where I was put up. So yeah, it definitely helped me to do my schooling, one of the best schooling, as you said in your introduction, in that region. It was one of the best English medium residential school where all big money barons put their children in that school. It's close to Anantapur, called MPR Dam. You must be knowing, Srilekha. Okay. And then later, with that inspiration, I joined my diploma. By the time I joined diploma, I knew how to talk in English. It was too fluent for me. And I was very good at writing because I come up from English medium school. Those days, getting into English medium school was not an easy task for a tribal kid who comes from nowhere. So I was one of the top guys. I was not only the top guy. I was one of the top guys in the schools, in colleges, and everywhere, wherever I went. I did my diploma in electronics communication, and then I did my bachelor's in same electronics and communication. Later, I joined my master's in computer science. Yes, all the way, the sponsorship helped me everything. As I said earlier, some part of money with the help of RDT. So my sponsor sent special money to create a bank account, put in my account. So when I went for graduation, that money was RDT helped me to buy my books, along with RDT, buy my additional needs for my engineering kind of stuff and later things. Yeah, in one word to say, if RDT was not there, I would have been in streets like a laborer. But now,
Shobhit, I think what really is resonating to me is the soft skills that you just said, that RDT, not only obviously the sponsor gave you the funds, which I think is godliness, but RDT was instrumental in making sure that you had the soft skills like communication, right? Because the education is great. Giving the money is great, having the resources is great, but if you still don't have the soft skills, but also the gratitude I see in you. I think if you don't develop those soft skills, you can only get so much in life. Having that inspiration and having that gratitude, having that humbleness to admit that if there was no organization to kind of make you feel like you have to get somewhere, you really can get. Is there anything about unique about this program you want to share with our audience? I see a lot of audience have jumped in on a Saturday morning. That tells me that our audience really want to do something for the community. I want to be very thankful for the audience to that have jumped in, because that tells me that they're motivated to do something for this program. So do you want to share anything with them?
Yeah, definitely, like me being myself a sponsor, child and beneficiary, and then later looking at around the different organizations in India, or else looking at organization in US and Europe, so which I come to know through my work experience, I see Rural Development Trust is the only unique thing which organization which I found. They give a holistic mechanism for entire society wherever they are taking care, like especially in Anantapur, Kurnool, and all other places. Just to name Sri Lanka, they give education to children, they empower women, they empower society through agriculture and other activities, like they build check dams where a lot of ecology is getting developed in that area. Especially my area got a lot of benefit. Like my father had little land, it was full of stones. So now they help entire community to clean land of entire village. One day they go to one person's land and we remove the stones. It was a group activity. For that, they also funded little money to do the activity to motivate those days people. So it really helped to raise up the farming also, And I see the health sector. When I was a young kid in my village, we need to walk about 8 kilometers to take a bus. And then from there, we need to wait for at least 1.5 hours to take the bus. We need to wait. And then we need to go to the nearest town called Kalyandur. And then we need to go government hospital or else any other doctor there and just come away. So entire one full day is done and you don't get any big facility or anything. It's just a consulting from one doctor, which it was happening. Now, if you see how RDT have been doing from the day one, they set up their hospital, especially for pregnant women, they have been doing great job. And now they have a super specialty hospital in our area. I can see the step-by-step growth, what they have been doing. So in one way, Srilekha, just to conclude, it's a holistic NGO where they do everything. They connect all the dots with the parent, with the child, with the women, with the farming and everything. So every penny that donor is donating is being utilized 100%. I see I read in Indian papers also, some of the organizations they cheat, lot many organizations have been banned by Indian government by misusing the funds by that way. So it is the only RDT where I have never seen in last 40 years, not in one time, anything for wrong reasons. Okay, I think this would be their holistic approach is more unique, what I can say.
Absolutely, Shatru. I think in conclusion, I think I hear that this organization is unique in such a way that they just really didn't focus on one thing. They realized that in order for families and the entire village to grow or the region to grow, it's not just important to focus on one education, but infrastructure development, healthcare development, women empowerment, child development, transportation, road development, technology development. I think they just looked at it from a very holistic perspective and kind of grew every angle, so a part of it, to ensure that entire region is developed. So I thank you for kind of not only highlighting your growth, but just focusing on the growth of the region. And thank you for staying engaged. Please hang in there. If audience have any questions, we'll take at the end of it. Lata, we are going to move on to Lata. Lata is another sponsored child. Lata has 5 sisters and 1 younger brother. All of them are graduates. She's married and has a son. Lata is currently working in Abu Dhabi for a software company. She completed her primary education in the government school and RDT supplementary school, both in her village. From 6th to 10th grade, she studied in Nalamada. After her 10th grade, she got selected for the RDT scholarship program. RDT sponsored her studies in corporate colleges, intermediate at Narayana College, Anantapur, and Bachelor of Technology at G. Pulla Reddy College in Kurnool. After this, Lata went to Bangalore for a job search and got a job after a year in 2011 as an IT test automation engineer. She worked in Bangalore for 6 years and was then moved to Abu Dhabi, and she's working in Abu Dhabi for the past 4 years. Lata, welcome. You obviously have accomplished quite a bit. So tell us something about how you received your sponsorship and how long has it supported you?
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for the information you have given about me. My voice is clear, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. So for me, like in my village, and when I was a young girl, not even young, I can say I was a child, like 5 years old. I have seen my elder sisters from other houses, and they used to go for RDT school. So this is not new for me, like which came in between of my studies. But from my first class, I have gone to RDT school, which was there from the morning 6 o'clock to 8, and then later we will go to government school. So why I'm telling this is like in our village, RDT has done many things which help our community, like which is a small community, to take a kind of good change in our home. First, like my mother, all the women earlier, they used to stick only for the homes by cooking and taking care of the family. But from that time onwards, my father decided to educate all of our 5 girls with the help of RDT, because if RDT school was not there, it is difficult for us to go and bring all our textbooks or whatever and send all of us to school, because that time in village, you know how we can survive. If we go for work, if we earn money, then only we can eat for the day. So that is how the situation was there. Even though my father is a landlord, but we cannot sustain by doing things by our own. So in that time, RDT helped us to give uniform, school books, and everything whatever we need for the entire year. So with the all facilities, and also we used to get encouragement for the any special subject whatever we are talented in. Like I was part of maths quiz, like which will be conducted on the mandal level. So that was a great encouragement for me actually to do something better than others, something like that I can say. So after that, I wrote an exam and then I got selected for the APSWR residential schools. And there I was studying. I used to keep on motivation by asking for me to write the letters, like as a sponsor child, I need to write a letter for my sponsor. So like that, I used to get all kind of encouragements, and they used to give some kind of gifts also, like it will be great to see when we receive gift. You can see the smile on the face of the girl or boy in the school. Like they will be able to explain like, yeah, this is what I received from my sponsor. So this was something special for us at that child age. And then when I completed my 10th class, my school teacher, he told me I got selected in this special education program. We were having no idea what it is going to be, but I was thinking like, okay, let it happen, we will see what it is going to be happen. So we started as um, a group of maybe less than 100, and we used to have this special education program related meetings, and they will be explaining how the college is going to be, what kind of environment we are going to be entered, because from the village, how a student will go from village to a corporate college. It will be difficult for us to mingle with the other people. And I was not at all uh, knowing how to write better English or like how to speak. So for me, when I entered into that corporate college, it took for me almost 6 months not to cry to go to the class. So every day I used to call my sirs and then tell them, please, sir, I will go to Telugu medium. I'll not go with this English medium. It is becoming very difficult for me. I'm getting less marks. But my education director, Chandrasekhar Naidu, was there. And also we used to have some people every month or twice a month. Somebody will come and check how are we doing and what are we doing. And they used to give some kind of cosmetic money to make sure we have sufficient things to be mingle with the other people, because there we can see there are many kids, they will be having full of sufficiency. So like that, my sirs used to make sure we are in a good position, not behind comparing with others. So like that, we got also encouragement. They strictly encouraged us to be in the English medium. So I continued. Then I got good marks in intermediate as well. Then I studied my BTech in Karnool. There also we got continuous encouragement. You don't believe, like even parents also, they cannot tell you how to study and how to be good and comfortably in the society and talking with the people. When somebody says like discriminating girls, how to defend yourself, or like teaching them what to say, something like that, I can say. So we faced as a village girl some kind of discrimination, not like now we can see that, but we could able to come out of all that just by encouragement of our parents and teachers, morely from our RDT um, team, I can say. Special education program, Chandrasekhar Naidu sir, every time he used to uh, uh, have a communication and making sure how are we studying. If we are lacking.
Lata, I think
Yeah.
I really want to get to that point as well, because I think people would be curious to know. But I think 2 points that I'm taking from what you're saying is, first thing, I think I wouldn't be surprised that if anybody from our audience wouldn't have teared up when you said about how they would come in and take care of little things just so you're up to par with other girls that had more resources than you, because that's what
Yes.
parents' role is, right?
Yes.
When I
Yes.
drop off my daughter at school, I would be like, do you have enough lunch money? Do you need anything else from me?
Yes.
So you don't feel like you don't have enough tools and resources in school. So, I mean, to see
Yes.
that RDT education director or RDT that are not your parents or uncles or aunts trying to take care of you girls that much tells that that is just not their job. They feel like this is
Yes.
something, a godly work that they're doing.
Yes. Yes.
That literally teared me up, because that's what I would do for my daughter. But I don't know if I would feel like I have to do it for everyone. But this just really makes me feel so good. But let me also ask you one last question, Lata. So before I move on to Rakesh, what kind of challenges do you think girls face in the community that kind of need this kind of additional support that our audience can kind of digest and say, let me support a girl child who is interested in STEM, somebody like you that has like math interest, that has like science, technology, artificial intelligence, that wants to study. Because recently my daughter was trying to teach some robotics program to polytechnic students back home. So, and she was kind of trying to see how she can help out girl students. So what do you think our audience can do to help out girl students if you feel like there are unique challenges girls face in the community?
Like as I have seen, there were many boys when we joined. So always our SARs used to encourage and then motivate where they are lack, and how can we uh, like reach out them and ask what is difficulty thing they are facing, how can they help by providing whatever they need, even education wise also. Some girls might be very shy to talk, and they cannot be speak in front of the groups as well. So we need to encourage girls to be more brave, and they could able to talk in the larger group. It's like whenever we used to have meetings, this is the point where girls got some kind of brave, and they can talk in front of the group, so that they will not be having a fear in the society.
So, Lata, I see that RDT acknowledges that there is that little fear factor. So RDT is putting in that extra effort to empower girls to get out there and pursue their interests.
Yes.
So, Lata, your truly success story, being a girl child myself, I just truly feel like you are a true role model for all the female children out there. I want to say, way to go, girlfriend. Keep up the great work. I hope you continue to stay engaged with RDT and keep motivating other girl children and continue to sponsor other girl children. Let me move on to Rakesh. I have met Rakesh myself once before. I was part of a panel with him, and I get inspired just listening to his accomplishment and talking to him. Rakesh was born in Settur, Andhra Pradesh. He was one more sponsored child. After high school, Rakesh studied mechanical engineering at a local university. He complemented the study by taking courses at RDT professional language schools to gain skills in Spanish, English, accounting, and also soft skills. Since he was a child, Rakesh dreamed of learning Spanish, but he never imagined that this was going to change his life in such a way as to line up a job in Mexico City. Rakesh started working as a software programmer at Banamex, a Mexican bank that is part of a Citi group. Now he is living in Mexico City working for Nissan as a team lead. Rakesh, please welcome to the show. I've seen you, I've heard you speak Spanish. One thing that I literally dropped, my jaw dropped when I visited RDT is how well people eloquently speak Spanish. Literally my jaw drops every single time, because my kids and a lot of kids here take Spanish as a second language, but I've not seen them or heard a lot of kids speak as eloquently as some of the RDT students speak in Spanish. So tell us, Rakesh, about your experiences. How did the sponsorship help you in what you're doing today?
Well, long story, short form, right? So I think I can just consolidate what Shetru and Lata they mentioned. All those, when I just go back in the timeline and think about my childhood, right, was kind of difficult to manage, but that RDT was our trump card completely, right? And without RDT, not sure, as Shatru mentioned, right, we would have become, laborers and working in the field. I mean, I don't say that's bad, but still, right, we would have not reached to these, limits, and, we would have not thought, doing this in the life. So in my case, I never thought, right, as you mentioned in the introduction, uh, I was looking at, people, visitors coming and visiting us, and I never thought I was going to talk their language in the future. So, but that's what it makes Audit a special stuff, right? I mean, here the organization itself, it is special because they are trying to go with the pace, how the global society is changing, and what are the requirements, and they are trying to change their projects according to the needs of the youth, the women, and different sectors, I can see, right? So I was so glad that I was part of one of these sponsor childs, and probably I can say since my childhood, from probably 5 years or 6 years old, I became a sponsor child, and started. It was not. I don't know what was that, but my dad and mom, they used to, get some gifts from them, and they used to share this with me. And whenever the community organizer comes there, and he lets me know, no, hey, you got a letter from your sponsor, read that, right? It was so encouraging, motivating, whatever they say in those letters, right? Was always, I was, even when I was writing a letter to them, I was so happy to share all my moments, right, for that quarter, or for those 3 months. It was really, kind of being in kind of, in dreamland for me, writing those letters and receiving the answers for those letters was really amazing. And that is something, I just want to go back and do it again, if you ask me. So, yeah. And after that, the money which they used to deposit in my bank account, right, it was so useful when I went and studied my engineering, right? Completely, as Lata mentioned and Shatru mentioned, I was able to pay for my textbooks, right, for my, any stuff which I wanted to buy in engineering. And yeah, it was literally so useful. And after that, joining the professional school, it completely, flipped my life. I was literally working in a small internet cafe in Anantapur after my engineering, and I really didn't know where to go, right? I tried probably, 20 companies, I attended 20 interviews to get a job, but I never got into, even clearing the first, interview, because my communication skills in English were, to the bottom, right? Uh, I didn't, I was not even speaking, I am Rakesh. I wasn't able to say that either. But when I got into professional school, I became completely a different person that I used to know, and learned English along with Spanish, and all that course was completely, a different world for me. For that 1 year was completely a different world, and they trained us, they nurtured us in such a way that we can, confront any kind of difficulties which come through in our way, right? So that is something I can remember for entire my life, because that is very important.
Rakesh, thank you so much for sharing that story. Look at you. I know that you are a very successful young man at this point, and you also sponsor other children. That just tells that you're obviously very inspired and have a lot of gratitude for all the things that you have received. So thank you for joining us. Please continue to stay engaged. I'm going to move on to Natalia at this point and ask her more about her visit to Anantapur to meet the children. Little more about Natalia. She was born in Segovia, Spain. She's a kindergarten teacher at the Grant Elementary School in Richmond, California. She loves being a teacher because it is obviously a very rewarding job. She shared that watching my little ones learn is the most fulfilling experience. She loves young children because she not only gets to teach them, but also nurture them. She sponsored her first children with VFF USA in July 2021 and the second children during her visit in India in June 2022. Natalia, please welcome. I would love to know, why did you become a child sponsor?
Oh, great. It's good evening, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm from Madrid, so it's the evening here. Thank you for introducing me. And yeah, I'm totally ready for the questions.
So I was just wondering, Natalia, why did you choose to become a child sponsor? I know you had the opportunity to visit your sponsored child too. So I was wondering if you can give us, what was the memorable part of the visit? Why did you become a child sponsor? What are the benefits of being a child sponsor? Anything that you want to share with our audience about that entire sponsorship experience?
Okay. Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you for having me tonight. Why did I become a child sponsor? Well, there are many reasons to become a child sponsor, but the most basic is that many children will miss out on crucial opportunities to break free from generational poverty if we do not sponsor them. What does a child need? I mean, I'm a kindergarten teacher. What does a child need? Children need loving caregivers and loving teachers, healthcare, nutrition, clean water and sanitation, education opportunities, and safety, basically. Does every child in the world have those? I don't think so. Can I solve a global problem? I don't think so, but I can do my part. I can do my part making sure that my sponsored child is going to have all these things that I've just mentioned. Yes, I had the opportunity to visit my sponsored child, Pavani, last June. And you're asking for memorable moments. I mean, every single minute that I spent in Anantapur was a memorable moment. But if you ask me to pick one, I would say the day when I finally met Pavani as a child. I had sponsored Pavani for a year before I met her, and we exchanged a few letters and a lot of photos. And on Monday, June 27th, I got to meet her. We arrived in Bailupala after a 3-hour ride, and that's the village where she lives. And I will never forget. I got off the car, and there she was, Pavani, in person. No more photos, in person, looking at me and holding a flower lei that she placed around my neck, and she gave me a big hug and a kiss. I'm sorry, I'm just, and she grabbed my hand and took me to her home. And everyone in the village was there, and they followed us. And I had learned a few words in Telugu, and I was talking to the kids, you know, and of course I had an interpreter with me at all times. And we had a 2-hour conversation. We were sharing games, sharing what a day in our lives looked like, sharing like what our favorite stuff was. I'm not talking about Pavani, I'm talking about so many kids. Pavani, they were like 5 girls in the family. So we got to share a lot in such a little time. And the best part, she was dancing and she was singing for me, and she was adorable, totally adorable. Time flew. I mean, all of a sudden it's like, okay, lunchtime, we gotta go. And then she was like on my way out. I mean, she grabbed me by my hand on my way out, and I was just like, I want to sponsor another child. I mean, like right here in this village. And I got to sponsor the next door neighbor.
Wow.
And now I have 2 girls in Bailupala. Well, actually, I have 4 girls because a friend of mine very recently sponsored 2 more girls. So I'm in a crusade to sponsor girls in Bailupala now. I hope to get more sponsors. So I ended up the day sponsoring Rajeswari. Rajeswari is my new girl. She's 3 years old, 3 or 4. She must be 4 by now. And now you're asking me what the benefits are. What is benefits everywhere? The benefits are that your monthly contribution helps to fill the gap.
It looks like we are kind of lost Natalia there. I'm so sorry. I know she had a beautiful story. I think what kind of inspired me is, are you able to hear us, Natalia? I think audience, I'm sorry that we lost Natalia. Hopefully she can join. I think what inspired me about Natalia is like she not only sponsored 1, but 2, and then she brought in her friends to sponsor more. I think that is quite inspirational. She teared up and she made me tear up as well. It's just the gratitude the little girls have for such little contribution that we think we can make is a huge impact. Let me introduce Fran Ventura. It looks like we saved, I hate to say the best for the last because everything is the best around here. What is not best about it? So, but let me introduce Fran. He is a film star. He's a filmmaker, a producer from Spain, and a screenwriter. I'm very humbled to have him here. In 2014, Fran Ventura pedaled 14,000 kilometers from Madrid to Anantapur, unheard of. The bike trip lasted 7 months and crossed 15 countries. He made a documentary during his journey, which helped him raise funds for 350 bicycles to support Oddity's education project in Gorantla. He raised not only awareness about Odyssey's impact, which moved him to return to the road to cover the Northern Hemisphere and bike from USA to Anantapur. He also carried out the long ride in 4 stages. On each stage of his ride, he wrote a letter to his child Nandini. Initially, the plan was to complete the journey in 2020, but due to COVID, he could finish it in November 2022. Finally, when he completed his ride and met his sponsored child, Nandini, in her village, Bairepalli, he recorded moments from his trip to make a documentary on child sponsorship, Kartas Para Nandini. When he started recording Nandini, she was an 80-year-old girl. Now she is a woman. Congratulations, Fran. We are so happy that you're joining us from Madrid, Spain. This is one thing that I was super excited about. And I don't know how many people I tweeted about this, that Fran is joining us, and people are retweeting that over and over again. Fran, thank you for joining us. Tell us about your trip, and then tell us about Kartas Para Nandini and about creating awareness about child sponsorship.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for your accurate introduction. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. Hopefully you can understand my strong Spanish accent. Nandini is the girl I sponsored in 2015 after getting to India by bicycle from Spain and crossing many days in the rural areas in India, and receiving a lot of love and help from the Indian people. When I get to Anantapur, I realized how much love I have received from Indian people in the rural areas, and I decided to give some of that love back. And I decided to sponsor Nandini. That was at that age was like a 6-year-old. The documentary was like a bigger success here in Spain. We made a lot of screenings of the documentary. It was like a kind of adventure that ended up in Anantapur, and where we distribute all the bicycle we have from rides. And Nandini at that time was 6 or 7 years old. And I just want to say that this is about happiness. If you read Vicente's book, he speaks a lot of happiness. So for me, sponsoring is almost like a way of getting happiness from what I'm doing, giving back so much love. And, it's amazing. I can understand very well Natalia when she starts crying, because it's like a very emotive moment to see how your money effort to develop these rural areas and give back some of the love we have received. So this is like to be honest, I feel you are like helping to develop these rural areas, and you are helping this kid to have a future. But at the end, you are receiving much more than you are giving. This is like the big secret, We are receiving much more than we are giving, so much more. And that's why I try to say to other sponsors, you will receive much more than you are giving. And especially when and that's where, so I could like convince other people to sponsor and trying to convince them also to go to India and meet their sponsor kids. So they will realize that is going to be one of their happiest days in their lives. And so I always say this is about happiness. It was amazing to see the success of these three people, that they have been a sponsor time before, and then now they are sponsoring as well. And that's why I also decided to produce this new documentary to convince other people to sponsor, to inspire other people to sponsor. And about Nandini, what can I say? It's like I've been writing her letters all over this year, telling her how my trips around the world with the bicycle were, and inspiring her to fight for her dreams, fight for your dreams. Everything is possible. Vicente used to say, everything can be, everything is possible. You have to believe in what you are doing. It doesn't matter if you are in a very small town in Anantapur, in a very rural area, you can reach wherever you want. And I think the most important thing, sponsor, we can do is to inspire our kids to believe in their dreams and to think that everything is possible. You just have to fight for it. I mean, I couldn't imagine, pedaling from New York to Anantapur. That has been over 16,000 kilometers, about 10,000 miles. And I did it. I just believe in what I was doing. And definitely, I feel very happy of being a sponsor. I've been receiving so much love that, it's like, that is one of the secrets I try to tell everybody. You are buying happiness, the happiness of, giving a future to the people who otherwise will have it harder,
Fran, I think what I'm able to hear is the more you give, the more you receive. And I think what you receive is boundless, right? So what was the most challenging part of the ride, Fran? I mean, that is unheard of. I mean, I ride 5 miles and I'm exhausted for the day. So what is that 15,000? What was the most challenging part of that ride?
I mean, each country is different. Definitely the north of Canada, the Yukon area, it is very, there's nothing there. So you have to survive in the wilderness, and no telephone signal. The distance in between the towns is huge. So that was one of the most the tougher parts. But I couldn't change any of that kilometers for nothing. I mean, it's like it was an amazing experience. And I tried to tell Nandini how is the wall I found with my bicycle. And that was one of the challenging parts of the trip.
So, Fran, I'm sure all the audience are wondering, when will we be able to see your documentary, Kartas para Nandini? I think that would be one of these exciting days for all of us.
I think it will be available in the autumn of 2023. At least here in Spain, we will try to screening, and we'll try to make try to screen it as much as we can. Yeah, and I think the shooting of the meeting between Nandini and I was pretty special, full of emotions, and the people will understand through the documentary how special it is to sponsor a kid and to transmit all your, inspire them to fight for their dreams and to show them the how big the world is.
Yeah. No, Fran, this is inspirational, and thank you. I mean, I know you're a very busy man. We appreciate you not only doing this for Nandini, but also doing it for the organization and doing it for India. I think I know you said you love India. India loves you very much, and
definitely.
We are very grateful that we found you and you found us. Please continue to stay connected with us. And I am going to let Ushasri, Ushasri is Natalia back. I would love to revisit if she's able to. Otherwise, I'm going to ask you to speak in the leftover minutes that we have. I'm glad we are still on time. And if audience has any questions.
And thank you, Srilekha, and all the speakers. It's wonderful to hear all your stories. So now I am going to just briefly talk about our sponsorship program, because often we question what we receive when we sponsor a child. So as soon as we sponsor a child, the child start receiving educational and healthcare support. And all our speakers so far, they have shared their stories with you all that what kind of educational and healthcare support throughout their sponsorship they have received through their sponsorship program. And our sponsorship program, if any child is disabled, it's help them with special kind of support. Suppose a kid require any kind of surgeries who is differently able. So this sponsorship covers all the cost. Not only that, we believe in totality and holistic development. So when a child is sponsored, it's not in isolation. He or she needs to grow up in an environment that supports them. So our focus is on family empowerment as well. So it's not only the child, but overall, the family gets support through different RTT programs and projects over there. Maybe they are getting nutritional support. The family members also have access to healthcare facilities at a discounted rate. They just need to provide 25% of the treatment cost. And what's the most unique thing about our sponsorship program, that it doesn't stop at a time like 18 years or so. It's more sustainable. It helps the sponsored kids to achieve their dreams, their career goals, so they can continue their career journey. And that's why there are so many sponsors kids now. They are some of them are engineers, some of them are doctors. They are having their own career, they are fulfilling their life dreams. So and now I'm going to talk about briefly about how a sponsorer feel connected. Often we feel I'm sponsoring a child, but how would I know that it exists and where she or he is? So how the sponsorer can feel connected with the child? So as soon as someone starts the sponsoring program, our office share the photo and information about family and child with the sponsorer. And they also receive twice a year a letter from the child. It's a handwritten letter. Depends on age. Sometimes if the child is too young, maybe just a photo they share. And after that, every 3 years, we share an updated picture of the child. Then you can also write letters to the child, and as all the speakers shared, how they feel when they receive any gift or letters from their sponsorer. And but the best way to develop a connection and bond with a child, of course, to meet them. There are so many sponsors from the US who visited India, who met them, and they shared their wonderful experience. So yeah, and we have a video to share with you all now. That's about one of the child sponsorer.
hope you all enjoyed the presentation and the panelists speak. And if you have any questions, this would be a good time to kind of interact and open your videos if you would like to. I think, Ushasri, there's a great question in the chat. It says, how are the children selected?
Thank you, SP Sitana. Nice to hear. So yeah, we have our director of child sponsorship, Shivas.
Actually, to select, to take children from to sponsorship program, we have a staff who are working in sponsorship office and also the fields. Before selecting the children, we conduct a survey in villages to see their condition, how regarding the poverty and also land families. We have a criteria, 5 or 6 points. According to that, those points, we select children to take into the sponsorship. And we select those who are getting income, families, parents who are getting little income, we select them. And backward community, as I have mentioned, backward communities who have less resources, have less accessibility. We select those children. We conduct family to family survey, our field staff, and then the sponsorship team who are working in central office. Then we go to villages and we conduct series of meetings also in villages to speak with children and families. And then we prepare the case histories of child and we send to sponsors. And we don't select the children who belong to government jobs. No? If the parents have government jobs, those children we don't select them.
Thank you. And if anyone have any of the questions, they can email us, they can ask it here, or can contact us at any point of time. On behalf of Vicente Ferrer Foundation, I'd like to thank all the participants, all the attendees, all the speakers. It's wonderful to, and of course, my special thanks to Srilekha for this wonderful session.
I mean, if you don't mind, Ushasri, I can give a last speech. I know some of Ushasri and all are, they are the staff for VFF. I'm not, so I can attest as a volunteer that I've been to this organization. I've been a volunteer. I've been to RDT campus. I've volunteered in the hospitals. It's a very genuine organization with people that work like ST and all, work genuinely with the organization. They don't actually work as a staff. They work as though it is their own organization. So very empowered team members, very empowered employees, really doing some very, very good work both in India and United States. I have been part of multiple organizations, but I can attest that this is one of those very, one of those organizations that I could probably continue to attest to it throughout my life. Genuine organization that we can proudly sponsor and continue to contribute. So I hope you all will consider sponsoring a child, and make their lives better. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks.